Hey guys, welcome back to Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. This is Janie Charlo and Russell Bruce.
Hello, everybody out there.
And welcome to season 4. So, first of all, Happy New Year. We hope everyone have had amazing holidays and time to spend with family and just regroup, and that you have gotten your goals and your mindset and all that good stuff for 2023. I think this is going to be an amazing year. Yeah. So I just want to remind everyone, please tune in to Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. We're on all of your podcasting platforms. You could also watch the videos on YouTube as well. Please like, subscribe, and share. This is our 4th season, and we're so grateful to keep going deeper season after season. And Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast is a podcast inspired to awaken humanity to everything that is already within. So we talk about everything of the heart and soul. So if there is an inspiring story that you want to share, or a topic you want us to discuss with you, or if you just want to be on the podcast, reach out to us. We're always looking for inspiring stories, collaborations that's in alignment with the mission of this podcast. So do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're always grateful and thankful to meet people and to learn from the stories and testimonies of others. So on today's podcast, we're starting this new season, season 4, and we're going to talk more about consciousness. So we want to talk about the war on consciousness. I think as this year progresses, we're going to see a lot of things go down. And I just think it's so important for us to be mentally prepared, physically prepared, spiritually prepared for what we may be seeing. So we're going to talk about the war on consciousness. So, Russell, when we talk about the war on consciousness, what are we talking about?
So basically, the war on consciousness to me is the war on your essence, like your mind and your spirit. So, we live in a society like where, we do have people who may have, say, physical handicaps or whatever, but they could have brilliant minds, like, say, for example, like Stephen Hawking or somebody like that, who, was in a wheelchair and spoke through an electronic machine, but his mind was still highly functional. So it's like the mind in the consciousness is who you are, and that's what people are really warring for. So, like, for example, you watch the Super Bowl, they spend millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars to run commercial ads. If they didn't work, they wouldn't spend that money. And it's really to sway your consciousness, to spend dollars. We live in a society that, the news, one channel pushes one political agenda, another pushes a different, we have different religions, philosophies, etc. Everything, for the most part, is to go out and grab people's consciousness for different reasons. Mm-hmm. So the war on consciousness right now is very important, because I think we're living in the most pivotal time in human history. And in order to control people physically, you must first control their mind. So through propaganda, through education, through religion, through politics, etc.
So let me ask you, what's the purpose of wanting our minds? What's the purpose of that? Like, why would someone have a war over our minds and our emotions?
It's basically for domination and control. Mm-hmm. You have people who want to rule the world. Some people want to rule the galaxy. So it's like, in order to do so, they need bodies, and they need people's mind. In order to get the bodies, you need minds. Like, look at slavery.
Yeah.
you know.
And ultimately you get the mind, you get the soul, because that's what it is.
It's
So if
the
you want to
gateway.
consider it a war on souls, you could look at it that way as well. So let's talk about how this war will show up, because we know we're not physically fighting, right? But we know we're in a war. So how does it show up? How is this war currently showing up? And we could talk about all the industries. Let's just talk about how it shows up in education.
Well, the educational system today, if most people are honest, is really geared to create good workers. It's not to liberate you. Most people go through high school and even college in most cases and come out and they know nothing about their credit, their credit report. They know nothing about how to purchase a home or how a amortization calculator works or how the table actually works when purchasing a car or a home. But these are things that all of us aspire to do from the time we're little kids, but they don't teach you these things in school, which, back in the day, they might teach home ec, things like that, teaching you how to cook. We had metal shop, wood shop, but all those things have been taken out, things that could help you be a little bit more independent. But for the most part, those things don't exist. Mm-hmm. So, they're really gearing you to work for these corporations. Mm-hmm. And, somewhere along the line, the exception to the norm are those people who take it upon themselves to start digging deeper, to go read and research and do things and do something a little bit different and become more self-sufficient.
Yeah, I'll say that, the most important education I have had over the last 5 years was the one that I took upon myself to find out and to figure out. Now, in my field, which is nursing, is highly skilled. So I'm grateful and thankful that I'm in a field that is skilled and I have education and experience in that particular field. But there's a lot of people who have spent tons and thousands of money in an education, and it's not a specific skill. So they're still without a job and they're still without knowledge of self. And I want to go back to what I was saying. The last 5 years has been a education all about myself and who I am within. And I mean, that's just is worth it beyond words that I could express. But there's so many people out here that have spent thousands of dollars on education and it's still without the material life that they're seeking and without knowledge of self. So
I wonder who's going to be the first school out there to give you a money back guarantee on your education to see if it really works.
Yeah, none of them. All right, let's talk about the media. Let's talk about the war on consciousness in the media.
Yeah, that's big, and we kind of pride ourselves in the fact that we don't watch it, right?
Yeah. And any content that we create, even like with this podcast, we want to keep it to the awakening of humanity, to the uplifting of humanity, to serve the people of humanity, and never to dumb anyone down, never to control anyone, and never to pillage, emotions or anything, or even to put fear out there. We create content that is about love and unity. And so you have to be so careful about the media. And I think people are awakening to that now because, there's tons of podcasting out now. You can kind of decide on the information that you want to be exposed to versus, before the internet and all that, it was television. And now we know how much that information, bad, negative, fearful information was just filtered to us.
Big time.
Yeah. So that's media. Anything else you wanted to add to that?
Well, it's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's self-explanatory.
It is
for me, because it's like, you know, it's all about removing from the matrix, right? So it's like they, you know, a news station, they sell commercial space as well, right? So, you know, it's all about shock value. So stories of upliftment, things like that, every now and then they might show one. I'm not gonna say they never show it, but you know, 99% of the time it's all about shock value. Who got killed, how they got killed. You know, there's always a boogeyman overseas, all that good stuff. So it's like, you know, the same story year in, year out. And, you know, here we are. It's like the people who stay glued to CNN and Fox all day. You know who they are. You can see on social media based upon posts. It's like a lot of people just regurgitate a lot of information that they hear and see and can't carry a conversation about it because most of them never really dug any deeper, read any books or anything on the topic. It's just repeating sound bites.
All right. What about politics?
For me, that's a necessary evil. It's needed, but it's become so corrupt in this country, it's almost not worth talking about.
I think when you think about war on consciousness, I think politics keeps us separated, is very divisive. It causes division. And I think that if we are moving into more of a unity consciousness, politics is one of the biggest ones that's on a war on consciousness, on your mind, on your thoughts. You know, every time there's political campaign, they dog the other what do you call them? Other opponent, whatever candidate out. I mean, just completely dog them out. And I'm like, how is this a part of humanity? How are we doing this? I mean, just dog them out, just completely dog them out. And it causes so much division. I mean, I know the last president's election, I mean, people online were literally talking about, you know, they were losing friends and this and that. And I was like, why though? You know what I'm saying? Because it is so illusionary. It is very illusionary. So when you think about war on consciousness and the war to win your mind and to win your emotions, think about politics. All right. They're definitely pulling for you one way or the other.
You know, and if you think about like in a court of law, a lot of times they say they don't want people to be tried in the media, you know, and the politics, like what you were just mentioning, like the character assassination that takes place is just unreal. I would really like to see a real classy candidate get up there and just totally act like the other guy doesn't exist and come with his A game, like you do in sports. Like if you've trained and you're ready to go, come with your A game, say what you can do for the people, and let those chips, you know, speak for themselves instead of assassinating somebody else's character and standing up on top of their neck to stand tall.
Yeah, and I just think we have to move away from that. It's like you can get your point across, you could do whatever you need to do without belittling anybody else. You know, you can definitely do that. Let's talk about healthcare.
Let's talk about it. You're in healthcare. I'll let you speak first on that one.
All right. So war on consciousness, right? So war on the mindset, war on your emotions. And I'm just going to speak from a place of being inside the industry. So being inside, right? I think that we don't realize how much power we have in healing ourselves. All right. I think, and I've seen it. I've seen so many people give up their power to providers, not even question, not even research their own, just take every word that a provider tells them and run with it. And a lot of times they leave in fear because someone has told them, you know, some devastating news that not even true, right? Not even true, without testing, without further research or anything. So I think that we we often give up our power. All right. We have within us the ability to heal ourselves on all levels, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So I think that you have to understand that healthcare is a science, it's a practice science, and everyone in the industry is human. All right. So just as much as me as a provider that can go and research things, and so can you. You can do these same things, and you have to look at providers as your advocate, as your partner in healthcare, and you have to take responsibility. I think Russell and I was having a conversation how people know everything about the stock market and everything about their vehicles and all this, but don't know a single thing about their body. And it's mind blowing because that's how we give up our power. So you have to understand that there are things naturally in nature that is here to help you, all right, to heal. Now, I think that we have advanced in science. I think we have wonderful advances in science, but I also think that we have to be careful when we try to outdo nature a lot of times with science. I think it goes hand in hand, but I think that we can't give up our power to science, right? There's a power that we all have within us, and that power to heal ourselves. So just know that in every industry, there's always a marketing to pull people in certain directions. All right. And I try to give people two options, right? I try to give you an option that is more holistic in what can be done to help your condition. And then I'll say, here's something else you could do if that doesn't work. But we have to be careful. We have the ability to heal ourselves. And it starts with understanding who you are inside of that body. You are in that body 24/7. You go into a provider's office, that provider see you for 30 minutes and trying to put a picture together, but you are in that body all day, every day. So you know more, and trust how you feel, trust that, and stand on that. That's it.
I think you covered about
Yeah.
everything, but just going back to your point, how most people, they do know more about their cars and everything else than they do about their own bodies. And, it's like simple things. Like most people have no clue what their blood type is. Like there's a great book out there on Eat Right for Your Blood Type. Some people are gone as far as having their DNA and their genetics and stuff tested to figure out what foods and minerals and all these things that they should be consuming more of in order for them to thrive physically, right? But so it's like it's not one size fits all. So some people may take their religion or whatever and go by what it says to, like, what foods to consume or whatever. But what might be good for one person is not going to be good for the other person. So it's like sometimes you just have to step back and really think about what you're accepting as your reality, because your reality and somebody else's reality could be two different things.
Yeah. And now that we're kind of, maybe a couple years out from the jab, I don't want to say the other word. I just want to talk a little bit about how during that time there was so much division going on. It was people who wanted it, people that didn't want it, people who lost their jobs, who didn't get it, including in the healthcare industry. Okay. And now it's, according to the president, there's no more pandemic. So it's kind of interesting when you start to think, what was the whole point? What was the whole point if it wasn't to grab you in one way or the other, right? So remember, war on your mind is to take you and pull you in one direction or the other, right? So you have to stay in a conscious state of knowing what's going on. And we're going to talk about how can we be prepared to war for this.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like, don't be so quick to rush to judgment. Like when things like that occur, sometimes just sit back, get quiet,
Watch the show.
and yeah, just
Observe.
watch, observe, then make a decision. But it's like, I think a lot of people press the panic button, went into fear mode, start turning on one another. And that's when you really get chance to see who people are. Like adversity introduces people to themselves. And, I observed a lot of people
Yeah.
during that time. And it was just kind of, some of it was disappointing to see how some people were behaving.
Mhm.
And hopefully that they were able to go back and mend some of those relationships. Seen a lot of relationships get destroyed
Oh, family
just over
members, you
conversation.
couldn't come to their house if you weren't jabbed. You couldn't come. You couldn't come to the family reunion or whatever it is. And it was just unbelievable. And when we look back, we were like, wow, why?
Yeah, and the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like, if we are really being smart, we're being preventative. Like we should be eating lots of fruits and vegetables, getting minerals in our body. And when you're getting your checkups annually, have them pull your stats to see what your mineral levels are, different things like that. You'll have an idea if you're susceptible to, being like severely harmed when things like this come down or not. And a lot of it is just faith and really having an understanding, because I really don't think that there's nothing natural that would occur on this planet without a solution, and that's just the way the Most High created it. And if you truly believe and understand, you'll think that way, right? So it's
Yeah.
my 2 cents.
So let's talk about religion and war on consciousness. Let's talk about that.
So as far as religion is concerned, we have the 3 major religions: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. But within each one of them, you have all these different sects. Like within Christianity, I think there's probably several hundred, if not 1,000 different versions of the religion. There's different versions of Islam and Judaism. But and then if you look at history, if you look at all the wars, you look at America, let's just talk about America alone. The indigenous people, over 110 million indigenous people were murdered, and it was all based upon religious differences. I'm talking about, if you look at this for real, it's like it's killed more people than what it has saved. And anybody study history, it's like, it is what it is. It's like you could put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig at the end of the day. But I don't know. I think that, God is real, and that's the title that we use, for the lack of a better word, or for understanding. But the universal prime creator that created all this, most of the stuff I read in these so-called holy books, it's like there's so many things in there that cannot be coming from God, but it's saying it's coming from God. And that's probably why that is not emphasized in these churches, mosques, synagogues. A lot of this stuff is spoken around, and people just go to the parts. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Everybody's feelings out there.
Yeah,
Talking about that.
I know it's such a touchy subject, so we want to use the right wording. But if we talk about war on consciousness, and religion is all about your beliefs. I mean, deep, passionate beliefs. So if someone could keep you right here because of your beliefs, they got you. They got your mind. They got your thoughts. They got your passions. They got everything, right? And again, is this all because it was taught, or is this because of something you researched on your own and you found the truth within yourself? right? Or is this something you're holding on to because it's always just been a belief? So I just want to open up that conversation, right? Like, if we're talking about a war on consciousness, which is a war on your mindset, your beliefs, your passions, your emotions, religion is, I mean, it's strong there because that's your beliefs. So that's why when someone says something a little bit different, people are so upset because they don't share the same belief, right?
Exactly.
So if we use the term universal prime creator, the universe, infinite intelligence, but someone says Jesus Christ, it's it's a war. It's a war, right? Because that Jesus is so deep in your beliefs and your emotions and everything, and that's fine. Like, it's not my job to change that, but it's okay for someone else to have another belief. You get what I'm saying? So we got to think about the war on the mind and how deep and ingrained it is. Sometimes you're just born into it. And that programming is there. And it takes sometimes a long, long time to understand it and to wake up to it. But I think the true freedom is getting to that, to understand that there's a war there. And when you're able to be in the driver's seat and you're not being pulled in one direction or the other, that's true freedom.
Yeah. And I was sitting here laughing because it's like, sometimes I'll post food posts and people turn it into a religious argument. They'll tell me I'm being disobedient to God because I ate shrimp or whatever. Or if I post something and say, that the universe will bless you, and they're like, oh no, that's wrong because it's God and all this, and it's like, it wasn't even about religion. And it's like they're bringing religion into every single post when it had nothing to do with religion. And just for example, like when you say universe, right? And my question to you is, if you have a problem with that, if you're saying God is omnipresent and God is everywhere and in everything, isn't God the universe? Yes. So it's like people don't stop to think. It's like they just get so charged. It's like, you don't need to come save me. There's people out there murdering, doing all kind of stuff, and you say absolutely nothing to those people. And I'm out here every day trying to uplift, be positive, and people constantly try to poke holes in every little thing. And and I think it's really a reflection upon them. And I think people really need to check inside themselves and figure out why they're so charged. Are you in fear that your belief is being challenged? Because you're not challenging me. It's like, I know exactly who I am and what it is that I stand for. And, a lot of times I just ignore it. Sometimes I'll entertain it just to see if these people can think their way out of what they're saying, because some of it makes no sense to me.
Mm-hmm. So, anytime we talk about the issues, we like to provide solutions because that's what we do. We're not going to just talk about issues, we're going to provide solutions. So if we're in a war for our minds and our consciousness, our emotions, how do we arm up? How do we prepare for this? How do we win the war, right? So, if you're in war, what's the biggest strategy most people use? Divide and conquer, right? So if you think about how we have been warred against, is divide and conquer. I'm going to divide you in religion. I'm going to divide you by your race. I'm going to divide you by your beliefs. I'm going to divide you by the jab. I'm going to divide you, in education and knowing who you are and who you're not. I'm going to not give some information to you so you don't know who you are. So this whole time we have been warred against by divide and conquer. So the first thing we need to learn how to do is be unified. We have to come together. There has to be a unity consciousness, there has to be a oneness. Because I'm going to tell you, if something go down on this earth, you're going to have to depend on your fellow humans to help you. All right. And, there's things that could really go down for real, for real.
Don't be surprised because things are getting a little ugly.
Yeah. I mean, so be prepared. So unity consciousness, right?
Yeah. And, the whole divide and conquer thing is like the oldest trick in the book. And, it's even getting to the point now where men and women are acting like they're allergic to each other or something. Because it's just,
that's another division.
Yeah,
divide the man and the woman. And guys, we need each other. Men need women and women need men. We need each other in equal capacity. We need each other. That's a whole nother division. You divide the man and the woman, then you break down the family. That's it. Once the family's broken down, that's it. The whole community is broken. So that's what we've been warred against. So if they're using division, we have to use unity in everything. We have to be unified. And just because somebody has a different belief than you, a different religion, if they say universe and you say God, it's okay. If that person is bringing love and compassion and light to this world, so be it. Let them say whatever they want to say. You know what I'm saying? Your beliefs don't make you powerful. Is how much light and love you can hold and how much you can radiate that back out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what else we need to win this war? We have to go within. We have to know who we are.
Yeah. And just to kind of go back a step where we were at, the scripture saying, I'm gonna get a little religious right now. It says, we war not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places, right?
Facts.
And at the end of the day, it's all about your soul. They're after your soul, and all of this division and everything, whether it's racism, sexism, whatever it is, it's like we know that there's a whole nother group of people who are benefiting from all of this, right? We're being distracted constantly. Like people are dying, being killed, and the media pushes certain things out there to where they become talking points. And behind the scenes, most people aren't paying attention. A lot of our rights and so forth here in this country are being written away in these funny laws, And it's like people really need to start paying attention, because when the dust settles, you're going to wonder what happened. But they're not coming on the news telling you what's really happening in the background.
Mm-hmm. And I would say stay present in the present moment so that you could be in observation mode. Sometimes it's not good to take sides. Sometimes it's just good to observe. And that way you get a different perspective when you just sitting back and you just watching and you're just like, okay, I see that and I see that. Okay, we're going to see how this all works out. And then create a path of your own. We've been programmed to go down the path that's given to us, right? We go to school, we go to college, we get our little degree, we get our first job, we work there. Some people have been programmed to work at the same job, 40, 50 years, you get your retirement, and that's life.
Get your watch.
Whatever the gift is at retirement, right? But you don't have to do that. If there is some creative power, something that you want to express in this earth, some gift that you are given and that it needs to come out, especially a time like this when there's great change. There's great change on this earth. And a lot of people are being called, but they don't know how to do it. Create the path. Maybe it's not laid out. We've had to create paths. We've had to create it. So there's always a way, but you have to know that. You have to know that within you that there's a way. So that's another way to win this war, is to know that you don't have to, go that route. You can create the route for yourself and your family and whatever works best for you.
You were created by the creator to create.
Exactly.
Create.
Creativity is our superpower.
That is your superpower.
That is your superpower. When you tap into your creativity, you're in the flow with the creator.
And it starts in your consciousness.
Exactly.
And that's why there's a war for your consciousness.
Exactly.
To keep you distracted so you don't think.
Exactly. That's it. That is it. So when you're distracted and you're doing things on the sideline and going with the distractions, because there's always a distraction being thrown at us. Maybe some of you guys can already see the stuff, somebody's gonna die, and then they pillage all of our emotions on that. And if you're a person that gets really, really emotional with things that's in the media, you probably really want to step back, because a lot of your energy is being pillaged. So just pay attention to all of that.
And we're due. Just look at the calendar. Probably within the next week, something else big is going to occur.
Yeah.
It's been becoming a little bit more rapid because, the situation is becoming a little bit more dire.
Yep.
It's really more so, instead of it being black and white, male against female, Democrat versus Republican, you name it, this nation versus this nation, it's about good and evil. Because, across the board, some of these people are men, some are women, some of them live in America, some may live in Europe or Africa or wherever, China. Some of them, the evil people and the good people, some of them are all on the same team. So at the end of the day, it's all about good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about all these labels, titles, groups, all these things that people have been identifying with for so long. All this stuff is going to fade out.
Yeah.
And something new has to come. Otherwise, we're going to continue to get what we are getting.
It's already happening. And this year, it's the year 7. So it's a very spiritual year. So we're going to see more and more of the split, is what I call it. You're going to have people who are resonating with each other, coming more together, and people are going to be letting go of things and people and hobbies and places, relationships, all of that no longer resonate with them. It's you either evolve or you repeat, and we are here. It's just a part of the cycle, and we are here. So a lot of decisions are going to have to be made in this year if you have not already positioned yourself to move. So
yeah, it's a period of great change.
Great change.
And and another thing I'd like to add, when people say something that's different, it's like, don't immediately say, oh, it's a conspiracy theorist, because the thing is, the difference between the truth and a conspiracy is about 6 months.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You sit back sometimes, you just take the information, set it over on the shelf somewhere, and wait about 6 months and see whether or not it's a conspiracy or the truth.
Yeah.
Because, if we look at history, a lot of things that people thought were true, 6 months later, you find out there was a whole bunch of lies being told. Yeah. And we've seen that within the last 2 years. If you haven't seen that, you're not paying attention.
Yeah. And, on another note, this is a part of what we're here on this earth to learn in this third dimension, is duality. So we're learning duality, the polar opposites of everything. And I think the point of duality is to sort of stay in the middle, right? And not label things as good or bad, right? Black or white, good or bad. But I think you have to, at some point, make a decision to evolve. Whether that is in good energy or bad energy, you're going to have to evolve. And sometimes that is challenging old beliefs, old systems and patterns of thinking and ways of thinking that is outdated and that no longer serves us. And I think that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. And the thing is, if it's not working for you, you should be looking to do something different,
Yeah.
because it's like what they say, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Yeah. So if you're still going into that job and you hate all the people that work there, you hate every minute that you're there, this is for you. It's time to make a change. So that is all we have. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
That's it.
All right. So guys, this was all about the war on consciousness and, what we need to do to win, to win this war, to make sure that our minds are ours and that we're making the decisions in a connection to the prime creator, right? And not making decisions according to somebody else's beliefs and patterns that are being forced upon us. All right. So my name is Janie Charlo, and this is Russell Bruce. And this has been another episode of Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. Welcome to season 4. All right. This podcast is inspired by all things of the heart and soul. This is how we connect our hearts with our minds for complete alignment. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Reach out to us if you have a great podcast, if you want to be a part of this podcast. And we'll catch you guys next time. All right. Take care.
Peace.